The Papal Palace opens its doors to some very important sheep. The Vatican takes another big step into the world of social networks. And Canada has another new bishop. We'll tell you who it is and where he'll be coming up. Welcome to Vatican Connections. Now, if you're like most people, you may have noticed that the way you use the internet has changed in recent years. Once we used the internet to send email to the few people we knew with email accounts and maybe do some research for school papers. Today, most people are constantly connected to email, Facebook, and Twitter through their cell phones. Now, according to Pope Benedict, that's okay if you're smart about how you use social networks. Users have to be authentic in these digital spaces because ultimately we share ourselves via Facebook and Twitter. In his message for the World Communications Day, he said, because social networks have become such an important source of information and a part of daily life, if the Church and believers don't bring the good news to social networks, we're failing our job. Interestingly enough, the Pope said there are social networks that actually help draw people into prayer and help people discover the importance of a real community, a real experience of faith, and even pilgrimage. His message was released on the feast day of St. Francis de Sales, who is also the patron saint of journalists. Now, the Vatican also took a major step into the world of technology, launching the Pope app. It allows you to follow the Pope more closely, giving you live streams of papal events, news alerts, and full text of the Pope's speeches, and access to 6 Vatican webcams. The app is currently available for Apple devices, but the Android version will be out in February. This week was also the week of prayer for Christian unity. Pope Benedict spoke about this while leading the Angelus last Sunday, and Catholic News Service has more.
The divisions among Christians have disfigured the Church, Pope Benedict said. Reciting the Angelus Sunday, January 20th, he said one of the most serious faults that disfigures the face of the Church is the sin against her visible unity, particularly the historical divisions that have separated Christians and still have not been overcome completely. The Pope's comments came during the week of prayer for Christian unity, which he said was a time for all Christians to reawaken their desire and their prayerful commitment to full communion.
Let us join our prayers to those of our brothers and sisters of all churches and communities, that we may dedicate ourselves even more earnestly to working towards our visible unity in Jesus Christ.
The story of the bumpy relationship between the Vatican and the Society of Pius X continues this week. We learned this week that the Vatican sent a letter to Bishop Bernard Follet and members of the Society during Advent, urging members of the group to take a new attitude in their talks with the Vatican. Archbishop Augustine de Noia is head of the Ecclesia Dei Commission, basically a commission within the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith that is supposed to bring groups like the Pius X Society back into full communion with Rome. Now, in his letter, he tells the Society that the Holy See has publicly affirmed their relations with the Society and has said publicly these are open and hopeful. But the tone of recent statements by Pius X leadership raise questions about how seriously they want to reconcile with Rome and whether or not straightforward conversation is possible with them. Archbishop de Noia points out that the Vatican and the Society disagree on several things, and those points have not changed since the 1970s, despite years of discussion. He says, surely the time has come to abandon the harsh and counterproductive rhetoric that has emerged over the past years. Turning to the Society's criticism of the Second Vatican Council, he said, attention should be paid to passages of the Magisterium that seem at odds with the Magisterium's teaching, but these theological questions should not be the focus of your formation or preaching. He also spoke about the competency to correct, and he used Pius X himself as an example of fraternal correction. Wherever he was, he encouraged change in a manner appropriate to his position. There has been no public reaction to the letter by any officials of the Society. Now, this summer, a very special art exhibit will open its doors in Latin America thanks to the Vatican Museums. The exhibit, titled Faces of the Lord, will coincide with World Youth Day 2013 in Rio de Janeiro. Later on in the program, we'll be talking to the young man who is making that exhibit possible in Rio. Stay tuned for that. The Synod of Bishops on the New Evangelization was held last October in Rome, but people are just now talking about the different experiences that were shared during the Synod. Our CEO, Father Thomas Rosica, was at the Synod along with our producer Sebastian Gomes, and Wednesday night they gave a presentation at the University of St. Thomas in Houston about what went on during the Synod. They're joining us now on the line. Father Rosica, can you tell us what you spoke about in your presentation?
Well, first of all, there's great interest at the University of St. Thomas. It's a premier Catholic institution of higher learning in the United States, and it's no surprise that they would be interested in something like a Synod of Bishops. What was unique last night is they brought together three people, Sister Paula Jean, one of their professors, myself, and Sebastian, to share the experience of what happened in Rome in October. The uniqueness of the celebration, and I call it a celebration, is it drew together people from the university community, students, and from the wider community of Houston, the Archdiocese of Houston, which is a vibrant church. They're really interested in all things church. The second point about last night is we used it as an opportunity to show the new evangelization at work. So when the three of us finished speaking, we then invited the audience to watch the first episode of The Church Alive. I said, this is what the new evangelization is all about. And I think it blew some people away when they saw the quality of that production, but also how young people are in the forefront of it. What I said in my talk, I laid out the Synod. I said, what is a Synod? What's the history of Synods? How does the Synod come about? How does the Synod flow from the previous Synods? Also, who were the players? Who were the key actors, protagonists at the Synod? So I set the framework. Sister filled in the details with the theology and her role as expert. And Sebastian then took what the two of us said and reflected on it and added a take of a young person, which is not often heard or seen in the church. So I think it's very important to hear a young Catholic who reflected on an international ecclesial experience.
And Sebastian, why are people now interested in what this Synod was about?
I think there's so much buzz about it because it's a question that relates to everybody, and it's a question of how is the church going to not only survive but thrive and bring about good in the world today. So many people are struggling, whether it's with issues of economics or war or violence or political unrest or whatever it is. The church has to respond to these issues that are going on in the world, and the new evangelization is really a reflection on our own part of how we exist in the modern world, how we relate to the modern world, how we can stand in solidarity where possible in the modern world and try to bring the message of the gospel to people. So I think it really matters to people because they see it in this big picture kind of way, and they're interested in becoming a part of something that's special and that's transformative.
Thank you so much. We look forward to having you back here. Finally, the Holy See has become a permanent observer to the Central American Integration System. That's the economic and political organization of the Central American states. The agreement was signed in San Salvador this week. The Holy See also has permanent observer status at the United Nations in New York and Geneva and to various UN organizations. Did you know? The Vatican Museums actually started as a small collection of sculptures by Pope Julius II. The popes were among the first sovereigns to open their private art collections to the public. Now, we mentioned earlier that a collection of art from the Vatican museums will be going to Brazil this summer for a special exhibit. Joining us on the phone from Rio de Janeiro is Gustavo Ribeiro. He is the manager of the Culture Department for World Youth Day 2013, and he was recently in Rome working with the Vatican museums to make this exhibit possible. Gustavo, thank you for joining us. Can you tell us what the theme of this exhibit will be and what some of the paintings are that we might see?
The name of the exhibit is In the Footsteps of the Lord. It features works of art from the Vatican and other Italian museums, and it's a big exhibit. It's going to be the biggest exhibit that Brazil will host in 2013. So it's not just a big attraction for World Youth Day, it's the biggest exhibit Brazil will host. We have works by various artists who are known worldwide, original works from Leonardo da Vinci, Caravaggio, Michelangelo, and many other Italian artists whose works are in the Vatican museums. Just last week we were in the Vatican, in Rome, to speak to the museums that will lend their works of art during World Youth Day to the main museum in Rio, Museum of Fine Arts, where the exhibit will be held.
So why bring this exhibit to Rio for World Youth Day?
The exhibit will be part of the Youth Festival, which is a series of cultural events that are offered at every World Youth Day, and this will be a key part of that. Our main goal was to bring this cultural treasure to Brazil, to Rio de Janeiro, for this occasion. World Youth Day is an event that brings a great multitude of people to the city and brings works of art and cultural richness to the country and the city, and it's part of this great celebration of faith. So we want to share this cultural treasure with the entire nation, with all Brazilians, and with everyone who will come to our country and who wouldn't be coming if it wasn't for World Youth Day.
Gustavo, how difficult is it to put together such a huge project?
It's
a fairly complicated logistical process. Not by a long shot is it simple, quite the opposite. There are several institutions involved in the process. For example, in Italy, there is one company that deals with moving the works of art out of the Vatican museums, putting them in crates and onto trucks to transport them within Italy. Then we have another team of experts who go to the airport, right on the tarmac, to receive the paintings. It's a very delicate process, and it was one of the concerns we were talking about with the director of the Vatican Museums and representatives and directors of other institutions that are going to take part in this exhibit. Another complex issue is the security. From the moment they leave their home museums until they arrive at the museum here in Brazil, the paintings are surrounded by extremely tight security. These are works of art with tremendous commercial value. Even if they're not on the commercial market, they have high value and some are priceless. We're also working on something unprecedented once the paintings are here. We are working to have the National Fine Arts Museum open 24 hours a day during World Youth Day. In the more than 100-year history of the museum, this has never happened, that the museum is open 24 hours a day. We're doing this so that the maximum number of pilgrims can have the opportunity to see these pieces.
This is one of the main concerns of the local organizing committee.
We are waiting for you with open arms like Christ the Redeemer.
Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you in Rio. Time to look now at the nominations and resignations. Now, the Holy See appoints bishops in Eastern churches. This week, Pope Benedict created 2 new dioceses, or eparchies, for the Byzantine Rite Ukrainian Catholics in the United Kingdom and France. Now, there were already exarchies in these countries, basically temporary administrative offices. So in the UK, Exarch Llŷn Lochnia becomes eparch, and in France, the new diocese will be led by Eparch Boris Gudziak. Both bishops are actually born and raised in the United States. Eparch Lochnia is from Steubenville, Ohio, and Eparch Gudziak is from Syracuse, New York. The Pope also confirmed the election of the new Coptic Catholic Patriarch of Alexandria, Egypt, His Beatitude Ibrahim Sidrak. The 11 Coptic bishops of Egypt gathered in Cairo last week to elect a new patriarch, and Pope Benedict sent Beatitude Sidrak a personal letter joyfully granting him full communion with the Church. Now, on the Roman side, the Pope appointed a coadjutor bishop for Armagh, Ireland, Father Eamon Martin. He will work alongside Cardinal Sean Brady, and when the cardinal retires, Bishop-elect Martin will automatically become Archbishop. Armagh is also the primatial see of Ireland, or the mother diocese, so to speak. So Bishop-elect Martin will also become Primate of Ireland. Father Martin is from Derry, and he was rector of the cathedral there and served as Secretary General of the Irish Bishops' Conference. 2 new nuncios were appointed. Archbishop Charles Balvo becomes nuncio to Kenya, and Archbishop Joseph Marino will represent the Pope in Timor-Leste. Last but not least, we have a new Canadian bishop. Father Daniel Jodoin of Sherbrooke has been appointed Bishop of Bathurst, New Brunswick. He replaces Bishop Valery Vianot, who was appointed to Moncton last year. And there were 2 other appointments, not episcopal appointments, so we're going to talk about them here. The Vatican's various media arms got 2 new members. Monsignor Eduardo Vigano is head of the Vatican Television Center as of this week, and Angelo Celso is the new director of accreditation for the Holy See Press Office. Mr. Celso was previously Undersecretary of the Pontifical Council for Social Communications, so this move opens up a job at that council. Vatican Connections is interactive. We answer your questions and explain things you want to know. You can reach us on Twitter at Vaticonnections or by email at info@saltandlighttv.org. We'll try our best to answer your questions during this part of our show. As you know, Vatican Connections is interactive, and we've been taking your questions by email, Facebook, and Twitter, and we're going to try to answer them here. So what do you want to know? Well, Michael in Thunder Bay wants to know if there are secret passages in the Apostolic Palace. Well, Michael, there are some very creatively placed hallways, so to speak, to help staff get around without being seen. And I've been in one of them. It links the Pope's study with the waiting room out front. Now, when the Pope meets with heads of state, he greets them in the waiting room, and then reporters take their pictures, and the Pope and his guest walk into the study. The reporters go through a hidden back hallway and then appear on the other side in the Pope's study. Gerald asked, can all Catholics be citizens of the Vatican? Well, Gerald, unfortunately, not all Catholics can be Vatican citizens. So who is eligible for Vatican citizenship? Cardinals, who are heads of dicasteries and live in Vatican City permanently, as well as religious and lay people who work for a Vatican dicastery and live in Vatican City. Clergy who represent the Holy See abroad, like nuncios and diplomatic staff, and, of course, the Swiss Guards. Those are just 2 of the questions we received this week, and we'll answer more next week, but keep your questions coming by email, Facebook, or post to 114 Richmond Street East, Toronto, Ontario, M5C1P1. Who has the Pope met this week and where did he go? Let's take a look. Monday was the feast of St. Agnes and Pope Benedict took part in a special tradition to mark the day. Vatican Television has more.
Pope Benedict XVI marked the Feast of St. Agnes Monday with the blessing of the lambs from whose wool the pallium will be made. The pallium are white woolen stoles decorated with 6 black crosses, presented to Metropolitan Archbishops by the Holy Father on June 29th each year, the Feast of Saints Peter and Paul. The 2 lambs, traditionally less than a year old, were presented to the Pope by the canons regular of the Cathedral of St. John Lateran, reared in the St. Lawrence Convent in Panisperna, Rome, in memory of St. Agnes's purity. One of the lambs wears a crown of white flowers, while the other wears a red floral wreath to recall her faithful witness to the faith, even unto martyrdom.
Benedict met with the head of the Communist Party of Vietnam. The Holy See issued a statement through the press office saying it is the first time the Pope has met with this Secretary General of the Central Committee of Vietnam's Communist Party. During the meeting, they spoke about topics of mutual interest, and the hope was expressed that some pending issues could be resolved and fruitful cooperation might be strengthened. As well, this week the Pope asked Cardinal Gianfranco Ravasi to lead the Lenten retreats for the papal household, and on Friday Pope Benedict took part in a prayer service with leaders of other Christian churches to close the week of prayer for Christian unity. And that's it for this week's edition of Vatican Connections. Don't forget to send us your questions and I'll get you the answers from my Vatican Connections. This weekend, Salt and Light will be broadcasting the Mass of Thanksgiving for the canonization of Saint Kateri Tekakwitha at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Join us next week as we prepare for the Feast of the Presentation of the Lord. From everyone here, thanks for watching and join us next time.